Good evening, y'all. It is a beautiful day here in Hardin County, Kentucky. This is the Hillbilly Think Tank. I am Spencer Keck, and I'm running for magistrate in District 3 here in Hardin County. And y'all, this is, like I said, the Hillbilly Think Tank. I am the educated hillbilly. No, that's not an oxymoron. Don't call me a moron. Y'all, there have been educated, erudite, and emancipated hillbillies in Kentucky from the beginning, ever since Daniel Boone came through the Cumberland Gap and since my people came through with him. So y'all, man, what a day. We're finding out that Russia is making a killing off of this Trump-Iran war. They're making a crap load of money, and the Trump family, they're raking it in too due to this war. Who is not raking it in? Regular Hardin County folks. Our farmers can't afford to put diesel in their tractors. They can't afford to buy fertilizer for the crops that need to be planted right now. If they can't put the diesel in the tractors, they can't go plow. If they don't have the fertilizer to put on the fields, it's going to be a tough season. We're already in a drought here in the area, so the hits just keep on coming. Well, we're also finding out that when we get to our grocery stores, tomatoes are going up, becoming a lot more expensive than they were. Why is that? Well, again, we've still got heavy tariffs that affected our trade with Mexico, where we get a lot of these tomatoes this time of year before they start coming in here in the U.S. And the fertilizer shortage is hitting farmers hard worldwide, not just here. So, yeah. Sticker shock on tomatoes. This grocery store staple is the latest casualty of the Iran war. Can't get through with that urea that's supposed to come through the Strait of Hormuz, but isn't, because we're shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. We are hurting the prices of tomatoes. You know what? I love some tomatoes, but I also planted a whole bunch this weekend. I'll be growing my own, and I will be freezing them and hopefully actually even canning a bunch of them. So I won't have to rely on foreign tomatoes, because most tomatoes travel over 1,500 miles before they get to my plate. But that's why I'm going to become a locavore. I'm going to eat stuff that I grow and stuff that I buy in the farmer's market. I'm going to help my local economy as well as my own. All right. Well, let's check out a little bit of what this Strait of Hormuz fiasco is doing for all of us. We know that We're shutting down the ships right now coming through the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, that's an active war, and the war is supposed to be over, but it's not. So what do you guys think? Is this something that is going to help our pocketbooks, or is this another thing that's going to hit it? As we see that Wall Street's making a killing off of this war. Russia's making a killing. Their oil revenues have posted a 94% gain since this war started. I mean, could we have given them a bigger gift? Their revenue, 94% in the first month of the Iran war. Now we're entering into the second month of it. So, yeah, it's not doing anything to stop the war in Ukraine. All we're doing is helping Russia fund it more. Putin loves this war. Well, who else loves the war? Again, like I said, the Trump family, because they're grifting off of it. But let's take a little comedy break from war talk and see what they think across the pond about what's going on here. What they think about, the FLOTUS's announcement recently.
Why are we having a barbecue? It's freezing.
Because 4 days ago it was really hot.
Come on, this is fun, all right? Let's play a drinking game. Okay, I'll start. Never have I ever kissed two boys on the same night.
Oh.
Guilty. Me next. Never have I ever accidentally booked a neo-Nazi to headline a music festival for 3 nights without a backup plan.
Girl, you said you wouldn't bring that up!
Okay.
Never have I ever been friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Is that Melania Trump?
I said, never have I ever been friends with billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
What are you doing in a garden in Croydon?
I am here to stop you nasty people spreading rumors about me.
We weren't doing that. We weren't even...
So that's what they think over there in England about our current First Lady. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So now we're demanding that NATO countries, our allies, help us out with this fiasco that we started with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, the strait was completely open before we started this crap. They're not buying it. They're not willing to sink their economy further into debt just so they can please Captain Bonespurs. So, all right. So NATO allies said they will not get involved in the U.S. blockade of Iran ports, proposing to intervene only once fighting ends. All right. So they say, yeah, if the fighting ends, they'll get involved. Someone makes a good joke on there. How could they refuse Jesus? Since we know now that our president sees himself as Jesus H. Christ. So, yeah. At the same time, the Pope says he's going to continue to speak out against the war after Trump has attacked him. He says that the attack on the leader of the 1.4 billion member church, he's not worried, he's not scared. So now to imply that policy and morality can be treated separately means that Vance knows nothing about either. That's what someone else says there in the comments. Got to agree. All right. So this war is an absolute bungle for the world economy. It can't go on much longer. This yo-yoing of the prices of oil Wall Street making a killing off of it. It's not something that Main Street can keep tolerating or should keep tolerating. Now you see that Trump sees himself as Jesus. I mean, it should be even more intolerable. I just can't believe that more people are not bothered by even that. But they're not.
As you can see here, you have the initial Iran blockade. The United States sets up a second blockade. Looks like Europe could set up a third blockade. China with a fourth blockade. Maybe Russia comes in with a fifth blockade. Yes, blockading the blockades. Blockception, baby. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, for another episode of The Chart of War by Don Zhu, where Diaper Don has just enacted his new strategic plan to open the Strait of Hormuz by closing the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, one of the dumbest plans in modern history, edging us closer and closer to World War III, as Donald Trump is now threatening to bomb Chinese ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So that's great. And while the rest of the world shakes their head at how fucking dumb this is, uneducated MAGA are cheering on the fact that this is actually going to increase your gas prices at the pump even further. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Grab some America First, America Only merch. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. What happened? So yes, it is official. Donald Trump has unleashed his plan to blockade the blockade. Yes, per Donald Trump, the United States to blockade ships entering or exiting Iranian ports on April 13th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yes, Donald Trump decides, well, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them, and decides to actually assist and help Iran in keeping 25% of the global oil shut off. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how is the United States going to stop China and Russia from entering and exiting the Strait of Hormuz? Are they going to literally attack Chinese and Russian ships? Well, no, of course not. And that's why China is already being allowed to continue transporting oil through the Strait of Hormuz, even with this U.S. blockade. So all we've done is further shut down oil for the Western world while leaving China just as emboldened. The shart of the deal, baby. Now, also per Donald Trump yesterday on True Social, he says Iran's navy is laying at the bottom of the sea, completely obliterated 158 ships. Then immediately after that says what we have not hit are their small number of what they call fast attack ships, because we do not consider them much of a threat. So Donald Trump, in 2 sentences, claiming that he's completely destroyed Iran's navy while acknowledging he has not completely destroyed Iran's navy. Now, I got to be honest, Donald Trump seeing instant and amazing success for this incredible plan, posting about it himself.
So when I was in the first Gulf War on a U.S. Navy fast frigate, which is the smallest U.S. Navy ship, there are boats in the Navy that are smaller, such as minesweepers, but this was the smallest ship in the Navy at the time. There was, after the hostilities had ceased in the war with Iraq, we were still charged with escorting ships through the minefields. And even though we weren't a minesweeper, we had a very large sonar dome that was capable of going through that narrow strait there and taking ships in and out of Kuwait with their load of supplies for the country and also taking out oil. Well, there was a helo that had a mine sweeping sled that we used to drag across the surface of the water. That sled came loose and we had to go search for it. So days and days and days of searching for this sled in hostile waters, mind you. And we had no other ships nearby to support us. And we got surrounded by these Iranian fast attack boats that he's talking about. That will put the pucker factor in any sailor. Because though we had one big gun on the frigate and we had a missile launcher, with 4 to 6 of those so-called boats, fast attack boats, surrounding us, that was not a good place for us to be in. So Iran surrounded us, and it turned out, I found out later, that there had been one of our signal ships and command ships had been in their, what they declared was their inner waters off the coast of Iran, and they came out and fired some flares at this ship, and the U.S. ship declared that it was being attacked, even though it was just flares from the Iranian boats, and they lit up that boat. So then, yeah, Iran decided it was hostile against us. So I'm just telling that story because, as was just related there, we haven't destroyed those small boats. They do have some capabilities. Even though they just shot flares at that big ship, with us, they were intent on proving to us that they could do more than just that if we didn't leave what they considered their water out there alone. So this Diaper Dan, Captain Bonespurs, yeah, he's got no clue what he's getting us into, what he's getting the world into. And again, the only ships making it through the strait are those from China and Russia. So our enemies are making a killing off of this Trump-Iran war. And y'all, that's why, like I'm telling you, we have got to vote out the guardians of the pedophile. These pedophiles, the pedophile class, they don't care about justice. They don't care that they start a war that's hurting everyone else except them, because their kids aren't going to go, and their kids have money invested in petroleum. Barron Trump, $50 million right before the war starts. He invests in petroleum. And his brother Eric and his brother Don are invested heavily in all kinds of military contracting that is now being used in this war. So, here we are, 45 days later. Are we better off than before this started? That's a question that I've got to ask everybody. We're blockading the Strait of Hormuz to open the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before the war. That is not a war, but a blockade is an act of war. 45 days later, here we are. So, are we better off? It's a question I'm asking everyone. Could this money not be better spent here in Hardin County, helping us make this great place even better? Now, here's how Australia replied to Trump's rant about NATO not being there for us in our fight against Iran. Right? You run a country with 600,000 homeless people sleeping on the street tonight. A country where 40% of adults can't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money. A country where insulin costs more than a car payment and people are rationing it to survive. A country where medical debt is the number one cause of bankruptcy. And GoFundMe, what is their number one cause of GoFundMe issues? Medical costs that are sending families into bankruptcy if they can't raise money on GoFundMe. They don't have that problem in Australia. They don't have that problem in most of Europe, where they have a universal health care plan. They don't have that problem in Canada either. A country where women are dying in hospital car parks because doctors are too scared of abortion laws to treat a miscarriage. You lock up more of your own citizens than any nation on earth. Here in the United States, we lock up more people than China, more people than Russia, more of our citizens than North Koreans lock up. China doesn't lock up as many of its citizens as we lock up of our own. North Korea doesn't lock up as many of its citizens as we lock up of our own. And nasty old Russia doesn't lock up as many of its citizens as we lock up of our own here in the U.S. The land of the free has 2 million people in cages, and a quarter of them haven't even been convicted of anything. They're just too poor to make bail. Your life expectancy is going backwards. You're the only developed nation where that's happening. Your infant mortality rate is worse than Cuba's. Your kids do active shooter drills between math and English while you tell the gun makers stock, while you sell the gun makers stocks to your mates, your friends. Your minimum wage hasn't moved in 15 years. You've got teachers working 2 jobs and veterans sleeping under bridges. And you just spent $1 trillion flattening a country that didn't attack you. And you've got a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, pedophile protecting, porn star shagging, insurrectionist running the biggest dumpster fire war campaign since the Taliban. Thank you very much for losing again. And you're calling Greenland poorly run? Greenland has universal health care, free education, one of the lowest incarceration rates in the world. Nobody goes bankrupt there because they got sick. Nobody dies in a waiting room because their insurance said no. So to Trump saying, NATO wasn't there when we needed them. When exactly was that, champ? September 11th? Because NATO invoked Article 5 for the first and only time in world history for you. Soldiers from dozens of countries deployed, fought, bled, and died in Afghanistan for us, guys. I'm saying that. Australia wasn't even in NATO, and we still showed up. And that's true. They even showed up in Vietnam for us for 20 years. And you pulled out at 2 a.m. without telling anyone and left them to deal with the mess. So, all right, y'all. It's been quite an amazing 45 days. I pray every night that the farmers in this county will not have to suffer anymore under tariff wars or under wars like we're going through right now, causing farmers to suffer. Y'all, in Kentucky, we know that united we stand and divided we fall. So, in order to not be divided, we've got to realize this isn't right versus left. It's not Republican versus Democrat. This is us working folks against the pedophile class, against the pedophile elites, against the trust fund babies who will never have to work a day in their life but are going to lecture us about working wages. All right, y'all, let's keep that in mind as we go to the polls. Again, I'm running for Magistrate, District 3 here in Hardin County. Please like and subscribe. And let's not forget those folks deployed overseas tonight. Bless your corazón. Have a great evening.
Cross country,